You are now tuned in to the Property Management Show with your host, Alex Osanenko. We bring in the experts of today so you can be the master of tomorrow in all things property management. Whether it's getting more doors, running a profitable fee-based business, or by simply being the best property manager. So, grab a pen and paper because this episode is sure to be a good one. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 39, I think. Getting up there, or maybe 40. No, not yet. Not the anniversary one yet. So my friend Jock McNeill and I, we were talking about the PM Growth Summit, and he spoke there last year on acquisitions. And since then, him and Mike Catalano, his co-speaker, have done, multiple additional acquisitions to learn a lot of things. They're going to bring all this new knowledge, and we're talking about, and Jock's like, "Hey, Alex, by the way," like he just said that, by the way, I've actually learned what I needed to know about getting a BDM, a business development manager, for my business, and now I have one, and we've doubled our growth. Oh, it's like, by the way. Well, so we had to set up this time and really sort of get this out in the open because I'm really curious. And Jock and I talk about this in a little bit, and we're going to expand on it here. Specifically, what sort of system he had before for his Alliance Property Management Company up in Santa Rosa for for bringing clients on, and what system he has now, and what sort of the delta, the change in growth he's seen. So, Jock, welcome to the show, and thanks a lot for being here, man.
Hey, always happy to talk to you.
It's very, very mutual, absolutely. So, hey, we've been friends for a while. I know your company very well. I've been to your office at least a couple of times. You run a tight ship, but tell me sort of the state of pre-sales process, meaning that everything before sales, when the inquiry came in, when the lead came in, who cared for it? Oh, first of all, okay, you know what? Take a step back for a second. I'm sorry. Maybe you can introduce yourself and tell folks where you are and who you are and your experience. Sorry.
Sure. Happy to do so.
Yeah.
So my name is Jock McNeill. I'm the co-owner and broker of Alliance Property Management, Rent Napa Valley, and another company that's a commercial real estate company called True Real Estate Partners. I've been at this since 1999, so it's my 18th year in the business. I have gone from doing everything myself to having a staff of 12, 13, or 14. I've lost count, full-time employees and a couple of part-timers, 3 offices in the North Bay area of California. And thank you for the compliment of running a tight ship. I don't think it's a tight ship so much as I just know where all the holes are, and I keep thumbs in them. So
that's very cool. But what I've noticed is you have people that stayed with you for a long, long time, very passionate, motivated employees. And I know running a business, it's very hard to keep people motivated for long periods of time. And I think you and Frank done a good job on, on just treating your people right, I guess, and in return, they treat your clients really right. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've got 7 property managers now. Besides myself and Frank, the longest term property manager is just past the 15-year mark. We've got half a dozen employees over the 10 or 12-year mark. And I'd like to think that's because we provide them with a great working environment, good compensation. And when I say compensation, it's not just the money, it's the benefits. You've got to look at the whole package, and a fun place to work where we're focused on creating opportunities for them.
That is important to me. That's very cool. So I think that's a subject for another show for sure.
Yeah.
Dig in, and you and I can exchange our own sort of tips and tricks and what worked, what didn't work. Because I am actually very curious. Whenever I come across a successful business owner that has a great team, specifically, I really want to dig in and find out what works. But let's shift gears and talk about your pre-sales process, or your sales process for Alliance Property Management pre-2017 PM Grow.
Okay. I'm going to take it back a little bit further. I'm going to go back to 2014 because that's when we used to do it the old-fashioned way. So as the broker and co-owner, when a new client or a prospective client called us, I took that phone call if I was in the office. and I set up an appointment to go check out the property. Did a little research on where I was going. I went out there, met with them face to face, signed them up, brought them in, handed them off to a property manager. I haven't managed property myself for probably 8 to 10 years, so I wasn't their property manager, and that was, we'll have to touch on that later because that was a tough thing to deal with. So I was tracking everything on my Spiral notebook. I was doing all my own follow up. I was missing stuff. The system, the funnel had leaks in it. Let's put it that way. And as a result, I closed 2 or 3 new properties a month, and we were probably half the size of where we are right now. Take it up to 2014, and at the Atlanta NARPM conference, we made a commitment to sign up for Lead Simple and 4.5, and that really created a good foundation for our sales funnel. We weren't tracking leads before. Now we track leads through Lead Simple, and that's allowed us to make sure that we're following up. Jordan's not going to want to hear this, but I don't follow up, or I don't have this person follow up 5 times to get the sale. We follow up a couple of times, and then we let them go. But that couple of times is more attention than what they get from our competitors.
Absolutely.
Sometimes. And so I'm not going to say it's shooting fish in a barrel, but I'll tell you what, your close ratio goes up significantly when you have a good process in place to make that happen.
So let's just. I always like to get in and see if we can pull out some numbers from here. And you said 2014 you were closing 2 to 3 properties. You were doing it yourself, so you took that upon yourself to generate new business for the company, growth, and all that stuff. How many people did you have to speak to close 2 to 3 properties? Just approximately, give it sort of a gut feel.
Probably 5 or 6.
So your closing ratio was good.
Oh yeah, no, I've always had a good close ratio, but a lot of those leads were coming from they were warm leads. So there were referrals from realtors, there were referrals from people I know in the community. Alliance Property Management as a company is very active in the community, and so we leverage that network currently still to bring in new business, and we're very well known in our industry, so that hasn't been a problem. But I wasn't doing any Google ads. I wasn't doing any Facebook leads. It was just all organic stuff.
And that's pre-sell-off. So 2014, let's just qualify this. 2 or 3 properties gained per month is great, but I think 16 and 17, you would lose more than that per month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you so in a lot of ways, referral, and you have a lot broader reach on referrals than most other companies because of the community work and involvement you do. But even at this level, you'd probably just stay even with the referral based.
Oh yeah, my theory is my idea is you want to keep them coming in the front door faster than they're going out the back door. And you're right, our actual unit count during those couple of years was pretty flat. We didn't really go up a lot, and so we were probably like 600 or 700 units back then, and we're about 1,000 now. My problem in that time was that a lot of properties were selling. 2008 through 2012, we took on a lot of clients that were kind of accidental landlords. They moved out of the area, they moved into a new house. They couldn't sell their house for what it was, so as a result, we got them as rentals for a few years. When the value came back and the equity was back, they were able to sell them. So we lost a ton of single families during that time.
Yeah, the sell-off happened, the sell-off wave went in. All right, so then I remember you and I speaking, because 4.5, we started at 2012. And of course, we do marketing, right, for property management companies. So I remember you and I had multiple conversations. This was back when I was in Appfolio days.
Yep.
But we talked about this, and you were just like, you were telling me, like, I'm just not ready for that. What was, this inflection point might be interesting for the audience. What made you feel you're ready for, like, more, like a full faucet marketing in a proper way going after new business?
Well, I'm a pretty practical person as far as numbers go, and it was pretty easy for me to do the math and figure out that if we invested a little bit of money in our sales infrastructure, that we'd get it back pretty quickly if we increased our close ratio. And then the next thing we did was started doing some more, advertising and investing more money in marketing, and that paid back quickly as well. So for me, it was more practical, numbers game. And I knew that the more volume we put in that funnel, if we didn't plug those leaks with a system, a CRM or a Lead Simple type system, we were going to lose all sorts of money. And it's about making efficient use of your efforts and resources.
Yeah, I'm with you. So 2014, you're slinging those PM agreements 2-3 at a time at a month. So take it. What happened? So Atlanta, you signed up 4.5 lead simple.
Yeah.
All right, you started to get the process in place. What happened next?
Well, we made a significant change. So I told you we have other property managers in the office, but we have 4 in the Santa Rosa office at that time. And I said, I'll tell you what, I want each of you guys to be able to take new business calls. Okay, new business meaning prospective clients.
Okay, so that's the first step. Have your property managers entertain new business calls. Okay,
right.
All right, let's go there.
My reasoning behind that was we were missing calls. Okay, so chances of one of those 4 being in the office when I'm not there is greater than if they're just calling for me directly. So we hand it over to the property managers, and we use the lead simple call routing. If number 1's not there, it goes to number 2. If number 2's not there, it goes to number 3, and we just round robin it through the office. And that increased our intake. We were probably bringing in 5 or 6 a month at that point.
Okay, so double.
Yeah, we can have higher months, we can have lower months, but on average 5 or 6. But we were still losing 2, 3. So it was, we're a little better than even, but not quite where I want to be. Still, it was a good step for us because it created an opportunity for me to identify good salespeople in my office. Okay, good salespeople and good property managers aren't always the same people.
Right.
Matter of fact, they're rarely the same people. So it was a good exercise for me. Did we leave some money behind by doing it that way? Maybe a little bit, but it worked out well. And so we did an incentive-based compensation plan for each of those property managers that was taking on new business. We paid them a little bit every time they landed a new door, and it worked fine. The nice thing was when that person went out on a sales call with a prospective client, they met with the client clicked with them, and ultimately that client ended up in their portfolio also. Okay, gotcha. So there was only one person they were dealing with all the way through. And anybody who's in the property management business knows that it's a relationship-based business primarily. And a lot of times, you get accounts based on chemistry with the person you're working with. It's kind of like picking a CPA or an attorney. You're going to go on a referral, but you're also going to, if you don't like the person, you're not going to work with them. So that was kind of an interesting side note, I guess.
So those 4 people taking calls, how confident were you in the fact that they were doing a good job? Did you have any kind of metrics in place where you listened and recorded phone calls? Did you have any of those systems? How did you kind of quality monitor it? Or you just sort of like, okay, I don't have to do it, that's good?
Yeah, I was the latter. I was, okay, I don't have to do it, that's good. I trust they're doing a good job. And like most things that you buy, you use a small percentage of what the actual capability of that product is. And, you guys offered that type of thing on, being able to monitor calls and being able to monitor leads. And I'll be honest, I didn't really want to micromanage that process so much. I really just wanted to see the numbers be positive. And if the numbers weren't where I was expecting them to be, then I would focus in on where the issues were and try and address them individually. There were some times when those property managers got so busy that they wouldn't take new business calls. And that created a little bit of an issue for the remaining people because they ended up taking more. And the thing we identified during this process was if you're spending time taking new business calls throughout the day at a very unpredictable pace, meaning they could be none, there could be 5 calls a day, you're not able to handle your property manager workload, okay, which is fairly predictable, but also can be controlled chaos as well. And so we sensed that some of the property managers weren't spending the right amount of time on property management versus business development or vice versa. And so we decided that it was time for a change. This was a few months before going to PM Grow. And we just started thinking about the idea of maybe we want to have a sales and marketing person. We didn't know exactly what to call it yet. You helped us with that at PM Grow.
Right. So those few months before PM Grow Summit is obviously the conference we're talking about here for folks who are not familiar. So that happened in February of 2007, just like less than a year ago, 2017. Yeah. And so you came back, and we had Dennis Youssef, we have a couple other speakers sort of discuss the BDM, the BDM culture, which is business development manager, what they do, how to put them into your organization, what the responsibilities are, all that stuff. But of course, that was like a segment of getting exposed to the information.
Right.
To my understanding, there's not a book out there you can read. You kind of have to kind of figure this out, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that exposure kind of solidified the ideas for me that was the direction we needed to go. And I think everybody who has a BDM in our industry does it a little differently, because it needs to be that position needs to be a reflection of you and your company. And for me, I'm not a real salesy person. I don't have hard sales tactics. I'm more of a sales consultant. I want to solve these people's problems, but I'm not like super pushy about it. And I needed the person that we were going to choose for this position to be reflective of me and of Alliance and of our culture of being great problem solvers and consultants to our clients. And so, we were lucky to find that person.
So let's talk about that journey, because I think right now a lot of folks out there thinking about making this happen, but it's a big culture shift. Or the C word, culture is and matching that. I haven't even thought about matching your salesperson to the culture. That we can expose that in a few minutes. But you did it in a different way than most. I mean, most go out and start hiring. You didn't go? Did you post an ad, or did you at least interview some people? No. Okay. All right. So tell me.
No, it was fascinating. So at the same time that my business partner and I were thinking about it, I'd come back from PM Grow. We started talking about it. One of our employees approached us with a plan that matched what we wanted to do. So it was like putting on a comfortable pair of shoes. We knew this person very well. We liked them. They were a great asset to our team, and we decided that we were going to give them a shot to try out this BDM position. And it's been since late June that we've been doing it, and so far so good. They're busy all the time, and that says a lot about the need for this position.
All right, so instead of going out there and publishing an ad and testing and interviewing some people, you went in-house, as you said, comfortable pair of shoes. The person is in. My next question is inbound or outbound? And how did you come up with a job description?
Well, it's funny. The job description was actually kind of tough. I knew generally what I wanted them to do, bring on new clients and make sure that we don't miss any inquiries. But that evolved into a lot more, meaning that they actually are helping get the property to market rather than the property manager, because that takes a lot of time. And so when they're busy full time right now, they're working on meeting with new clients, signing new contracts, and then preparing those properties for market, getting them set up and photographed and everything like that, so that when they're handed off to the property manager, they're ready to go. They're ready to be moved into, theoretically, and we can start marketing them, and then all we've got is showings. Most of the leads that we're getting right now are inbound. We're actually starting to do more outbound stuff, but the outbound stuff, such as networking at realtor events and making sure that we're seen in the Chamber of Commerce and those kind of things, they're really hard for me to quantify. It's more like brand building than anything else. And
Sure.
We're an old brand, we've been around for a while. But for me, those types of activities aren't going to provide immediate results compared to what we can do by just actually answering the phone when someone calls or answering an email or being quick. We're probably like 90% inbound.
90% inbound. That's a great place to be. I mean, heck,
Yeah.
that's so you keeping. That's a very interesting approach. You keeping that person busy, available for inbound calls and qualification and discovery process and closing and follow up, but also you actually have another task for them. You have them get the house rent ready, and the property ready to advertise, right? Then the handoff happens to the property manager.
Yeah, and it may not stay that way forever.
Sure.
We just found that we couldn't handle the new volume of new properties coming to the property managers, because they're already, let's face it, they're already stretched thin. They all have a little bit of capacity, but if we're throwing them each 3 new properties a month and they each take an extra, 3 or 4 hours a piece, that's a lot of work. So with the capacity that the BDM had, we were able to fill it and help out those property managers. Ultimately, if we keep up this kind of volume, that may end up being a standalone position for somebody.
Interesting. So let's go back and talk about the number. At the end of the day, I mean, what is it? What is he producing? She? Is it he or she?
He, Michael.
Yeah,
So,
Michael. What is he producing?
It's so in the first 3 months it was 30 units total, so 10 units a month.
Okay.
And we're on track in the second 3 months to, I think, finish out around 15 units a month, somewhere in there. And now we manage about half single family home. The other half is small multi-unit. So, you could get one client that's 10 units and that'll help them meet our goals. But a lot of what we're bringing on right now is single family stuff. So yeah, it's gone up quite a bit.
And then, so out of 10 units and trending upwards, how many of them are quality? Like, how do you control quality?
That's a good point. There was an interesting thread going on recently on the Darwin listserv about that I'm following closely. But we have a standard of property that we want. Okay, we want the A's and the B's. We don't want the C's if we can avoid it. There are certain locations in our county that we don't service if we don't have to, and so we look for nice properties. Nice product attracts nice customers. That's a pretty simple equation.
Right.
The landlords, the owners, on the other hand, you do need to screen. So sometimes we'll come up with recommendations of work that needs to be done on a property. Their willingness to do that work oftentimes dictates what kind of a client they're going to be. And so we're paying close attention to that. We don't have a formal intake process, but we're experienced enough to know red flags when we see them. Okay, if the place has 20-year-old carpet and the landlord wants to try and rent it like that, that's a problem. Or they're just straight up ignorant. It could be either. If we make a recommendation to replace it and they replace it and we still have a good property, we're okay with that. We like well-capitalized investors. Who doesn't? We want them to have the money to put it back in. If we are asking for improvements on a turnover between tenants and say it's renting for X and it could rent for Y, but you have to invest Z, we want to tell them how long it's going to take to get paid back Z.
Right.
So we kind of help them with that math and figure out whether it's a good play for them.
Okay. So does your BDM, Michael, does he have anything to do with lease renewals?
No.
Okay. You have another department or property manager does that?
Believe it or not, we write primarily month-to-month contracts.
That's another podcast topic. Let's not get into that.
Yeah. That might be a regional or a California thing, but yeah, that seems to be what our market does right now.
Month to month, you mean beyond the initial term?
No, month to month right off the bat.
Right. I'm in the Bay Area here. I've never seen that.
Yeah, we do. You want to touch on it?
Well, let's touch on it. Right, you're gonna get calls. You're gonna get calls on this one, man. But
so if we have a tenant that rents from us and they're a problem of some sort, we want to be able to get them out with a no-cause termination notice, which we can do here in California. If you're on a lease, you have to prove the breach, and it's longer and more expensive. So it's a simple tactic.
That is very, very clever. Okay, so that way you guarantee, or at least you have a better. Well, on one hand, there's a bit of a risk for that tenant becoming a short-term tenant. You have to do a turnover. But on the other hand, if they're a non-performing tenant, you can get them out quickly.
Yeah, and our rental market is strong enough where we're not worried about downtime too much, and our clients understand the risks that go with it.
That's smart. So playing the market and the timing. Oh, good. Speaking of market and timing, do you sell properties?
We do sell properties through a brokerage called Next Home, which is a national franchise. It is not the same company as Alliance, although it's under the same brokerage.
Got it. And then so does Michael, your BDM, participate in sort of nurturing your database for sales opportunities? Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times he'll come out and meet with a client or prospective client who's trying to decide whether to rent or sell. We're very, very careful about protecting existing relationships with other brokers. So he'll ask, if they're working with somebody. If they're not, he can have that conversation with them. We get a lot of referrals from realtors, and one of the reasons we're able to do that is because we protect those relationships.
Of course. I mean, of course you do. But then there's a lot of people that you source through inbound, through your own marketing, through your own reviews, through your own campaigns that have nothing to do with any other realtor. So those are free. Those you can do. So what would you say? And again, this is early. We're going to have to do a follow-up podcast here, but I think it's very, very, very important and timely for the audience here. How many sales opportunities do you think you created over the last 90 days? Can you quantify that, or there's
Sales opportunities for property management, you mean? Or
No, no, home selling opportunities versus property management contracts.
You know what? I don't know. Probably a handful.
A handful, okay.
Because it's not our real focus.
Why not?
Because we're trying to get this one set up to work right.
Okay. But I smell the money. I smell.
It's easy to do, and I would say it's not that it's not a part of conversation. We're just not marketing directly to that side of our business right now.
Sure, understood. I just wanted to explore that and potentially, kind of think along those lines a little bit. But okay, so he's bringing 10 properties per month. Rents are pretty healthy where you at. What is your goal? How close is that to your business objective, growth objective?
Well, we'd be very comfortable with 10 units per month for the next couple of years because that allows us to ramp up growth in conjunction with the other things we do, such as acquisitions, and not kill everybody. I really worry about that because we don't exist without our team, and we're not a small company. It's not about me burning out; it's about them burning out and feeling supported and feeling appreciated, and being able to provide a level of quality service to our clients. So I think if we're doing 10 units a month, that's a great goal. That ends up being 120 units a year, and that's running 1,000 doors, so that's 12% growth. That's exceptional.
Right, minus the attrition, which is about 3%. So you're growing at a good, healthy, sustainable rate.
Absolutely.
But you're also buying companies left and right.
Yeah. Well, not left and right. I mean, we've done one for the past few years. We've done seven or eight total.
That is left and right in my.
It's nice. Yeah, it's an unpredictable source of growth, and I think it's really important when you're owning a property management company to look at where your growth is coming from. That's sustainable, and you can help someone build a funnel like you've helped us, and have it be just a consistent stream of business. And I think if you're doing that, you can plan for growth, as opposed to having an opportunity to buy a business where someone calls me one month, the next month we've taken over 85 units in another community somewhere. That's can be very stressful for our organization. Yeah. So it's a multi-pronged growth.
Gotcha. Well, we'll get into the specific, I think, tasks and how you manage your BDM, their day-to-day activities and things that you wish you could implement moving forward, because it's a moving target, right? But right. First, I want to get a quick word from our sponsor, who is guess what? PM Grow Summit, the
best
premier
conference ever.
Thank you, Jock. The premier conference for property management entrepreneurs, folks like Jock, who's looking to take their business next level, meet other smart people, associate with the right sort of business owner who's really focused on smart growth. I would call it smart growth, not just like breakneck growth, but smart growth, company culture, all these points are touched, but mainly it is focused on, growing and sustaining your business and potentially building out other revenue streams like the sales, like the maintenance business in other ways. So you'll find experts on marketing, on sales and BDM. You'll find experts on websites and all kinds of things that you need to know and understand in order to run your business. It is once in a year event. This year it's in San Diego, California, on January 31st through February 2nd. Jock is going to speak there along with Mike Catalano. And what they're going to talk about acquisitions and what they've learned over the 12 months that they've since they came back from last summit. And we recorded a video. You can go see that on our Facebook page, on PM Growth Summit Facebook page, or pmgrowthsummit.com on our blog, where Jock and I talk about 8 minutes of what he's going to bring to the table. But he's going to do a case study, and I think, Jock, one of the acquisitions didn't go very well, right? You had to.
It went poorly.
It went poorly.
But as I said, we came out the other end doing okay.
So there's some takeaways on how to sort of format, reformat failure and get it to success. And I think Jock was talking about writing specific terms into the contract originally.
Yeah.
Right, to protect yourself. So you guys, you got to go attend this thing. There's just nothing better. We have 315 tickets. There's probably about 100 plus left at this point, but it's early and it will sell out like it sold out last year. So you put in the name Alex when you're booking, ALEX, you get $100 off. Go book it now. Don't wait. Book the hotel. We have an incredible rate. I think it's under $270 or $250 in a $500 hotel. It's a U.S. Grand luxury hotel, Gaslight District, San Diego, in middle of January. I'm sorry, end of January. How can you miss it?
You can't.
You can't. Thank you. All right, Jock. So let's go and dig into a bit of a process. You said that your BDM came to you and said, "Oh, here's my job description," or what did he do? What did he say?
Well, it was he wanted an opportunity for growth. Our organization is pretty flat. There's myself, my business partner, an array of property managers and support staff. There's not a lot of property supervisors, or we don't have a general manager. We run pretty lean, like most property management companies do.
Yep.
And I think he saw an opportunity and basically came to us and said, I'd like to be the person who talks to all new clients. We didn't even call it business development yet. This was, kind of a new thing for us. It didn't take long for me to do the math. Remember, I said I'm a practical, financial person. It didn't take long to figure out that the investment of keeping him on a good salary and doing some incentive-based compensation was going to pay off immediately. So it was just, you sat down, we did a pro forma based on it, figured out if it was worth the risk, talked about whether he was the right person. He was, and went from there. And the job description's been tweaked a little bit. If anything, we've added to it along the way, and we'll probably continue to add and subtract as things change and our organization changes. So one side point. His movement as a property manager into the business development manager position created 3 internal promotions. So someone in our accounting department went into his property manager position. An intern went into the accounting position, and then we created a new property management assistant position that took someone from our front desk. So we had 4 people total move internally. That's the kind of company we are. I really like to promote from inside if I can.
Absolutely, yeah. And you have to have growth for that,
mm-hmm.
right? You have to provide growth to your team. Otherwise, they're stuck. So that's very cool. And then do you have any specific, do you track his activity, or do you sort of he just sort of runs his own, kind of his own little business unit?
Well, we talk a lot. We probably could have better tracking, but I'm not a micromanager. I like to give people pretty solid goals and objectives and let them work towards it on their, with their own methods, and then revisit those periodically. Because we're in the same physical office, although I'm not here a ton, we talk about what kind of activities got going on. I can log into Lead Simple and see what's in the pipeline and what's coming in. And we log everything in Lead Simple, not just the emails that get put in there automatically. If we get a phone call, if we get a walk-in, he's required to put those in there. So I can kind of tell how many contacts a month we're getting. And then I haven't gotten so far, not that I don't care, but I haven't looked at his close ratio yet, but it's pretty darn good.
One little trick I can give you, and we've been sort of using that, and I highly recommend our clients use that. As you grow your nurturing list, you have the people who don't close the subscribers email list. Yeah. Spend some time, or have Michael spend some time, maybe once a week or so, look at the most active people who open emails.
Yeah.
Have you done that?
No, that's a great idea.
So go to MailChimp, go to your MailChimp account, and look at activity. It has an amazing depth into who opened, when, click, and actually give its own star rating. So you can actually filter. So what I do is, we filter subscribers by a star rating, and we know who's warmer. And we've calculated on average that it takes 4.5, 36 average 36 weekly emails to earn a client.
Wow.
Yeah. It takes a while to educate. This is a complicated. Marketing is complicated, and it's just not that. It's not a quick decision. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and this one tip, it's more. It's not an outbound per se, but it's more of a little bit an outreach, right? So if they're a good open rate, good time to check in.
Ah, interesting. Hadn't thought of that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let's see if that adds a little bit of a 10 to 20% more to your close ratio. But where were you? I'm going to ask you about CAC, that customer acquisition cost. So
Okay.
you put that in your mind. You don't have to share it, the number, but maybe give me a range.
I like that you assume that I know what it is.
No, I see. The thing is, I was going to work with you on this, but you know what? That's fine. You did pro forma. I don't know what that means.
We did a pro forma, which was basically an analysis of financial performance to determine if the investment was going to create a profit for us.
So I'm just coming at it from a little bit of a different accounting perspective, but it's the same thing, right? So, unit economics, meaning that what does it cost me per unit all in to acquire a single property under management, which is CAC, which is customer acquisition cost. Bottom line is it's your marketing plus sales. So Michael's salary plus, and we can talk about this offline, but Michael's salary plus all your marketing investments divided by number of properties you acquired in a period. So let's say in a year you pay Michael, let's say $60,000, whatever. I'm just going to assume that. And let's say you spend another 30 on marketing. That's 90,000. Let's say it's 100,000. You acquired 120 units. What is that?
They might eat just $2,000 a year.
Yeah, so it's at 833 actually. So if 100,000 is your total investment for marketing and sales divided by 120 acquired units, that's $833.
Yeah, and I'm saying that they each produce on average $2,000 a year.
Oh, sorry about that. So the ACV. Now we're talking about annual. I'm just going to get this speak into the industry until everybody speaks this language. So annual contract value is, what do you say, about $2,000?
About 2,000, yeah.
Fair enough. So you pay back the acquisition if 100K is your real number. You're probably more than 100K, right?
No, it's probably right in there.
With marketing?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, you pay back your acquisition cost in about 4 months, which is very, very healthy. So in the recurring revenue now, let me give you guys a lesson because I follow all these things. I read all these books. I run a recurring revenue business. And if you pay back your customer acquisition cost within 6 months or less, it's a phenomenal opportunity, especially if you retain on average more than 36 months. And most of you do.
I would say our retention rate is probably in the 6 to 7 year range.
Yeah.
So
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Not to mention, if we ever go to market the company, the value of those contracts is pretty strong too. So
I don't know if I'll have it published by then, but if you go to 4.5.com, go to pricing page, we've been working on this widget. It's pretty awesome. You basically set your number of units you want to grow by, then you set your average rent, and it gives you everything.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
It gives you the portfolio value, annual contract value, lifetime customer value, all these averages, and pretty soon we're going to have a little bit of flexibility where you can put in your own numbers, so it gives you actual numbers for you. But right now it's an average, and it's pretty close to I think where you have it.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity, for you guys to help people like me who don't know their cost per acquisition to come up with it. It's a really easy sale after that. After you figure out the positive number on the back end of it, piece of cake.
Yeah, it takes 36 weekly emails for people to get that. but that's part of the reason why I'm pushing this. It's just such a mathematical way to do business. Like, take emotions out. You don't like yourself on video? Oh well. You're buying clients at $800. They're paying you $2,000 a year, and I gotta stay with you 5 years. What is there to talk about?
Right. Exactly.
What is there to talk about? Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I do wonder what'll happen, because our community is 500,000 people, our county, and I do wonder what's going to happen down the road when we've sold all we can sell, and all we're doing is keeping them coming in the front door as fast as they're going out the back door.
I think you got a while yet. Don't you?
What's that?
I think you have a while yet. I mean, there's...
Oh, I've got a long time. But I like thinking, far in advance, not only for myself, but also for the person we put in the position of business development manager. What does that mean to them? And I think that's the nice thing about having two other offices. I can always focus those efforts in those markets. That's
exactly it. And I was going to say, be like Mike Catalano, start buying, companies elsewhere in other towns and land and expand.
Yeah,
that's what you did. That's what you did in Napa, right?
Yeah, we bought it in St. Helena, which is North Napa County. We just bought in Cloverdale, which is the northern Sonoma County. They're both about 35 minutes away from us. not areas that we would service from our Santa Rosa office. So that was good. So it kind of gave us an intro into an existing market without having to bootstrap our marketing and have all that outflow of cash.
There you have it, guys. Jock McNeill runs a tight ship, great company culture, growing through organic marketing, got the BDM, growing through acquisitions, going to conferences, learning and implementing. It's not rocket science.
It's not. I'm a slow learner, but I figured it out.
You're great, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's not very comfortable to sit here for 50 minutes and talk about this, but I really enjoyed it. Our audience, I think, is going to get a lot out of it. And I really look forward to seeing you at the PM Grow Summit.
Yeah, looking forward to that too. I'll hopefully see you before then. Thanks a lot, Alex.